Okay, Carl, so a Chinese government spokesperson posted an objectionable fabricated photo of an Australian soldier killing a child, then satirical pictures of our Prime Minister. What the heck is the Chinese government playing at here?
Okay. So first of all, it's not a fabricated image. It's a political cartoon. I mean, you can see from the image itself, the Australian soldier and the child, they were standing on a puzzle board made from the Afghan flag. It's to call this a fabricated image is like calling Picasso's painting of Guernica a fabricated a painting. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Hang on, but surely you can see how offensive it is. Can you not see how it could cause so much offence here? I mean, we could debate semantics, but you could see how objectionable it is as a depiction of an Australian soldier slaying a child. Do you not think that's objectionable?
Well, it's a political satire, and it's a political satire depiction of a real events. I mean, we have the reports from the Australian government about two SAS soldiers who slit throats of two 14-year-old Afghan children. I mean, like, if anything, if you can call it a false depiction, it's false because it only has one child instead of two.
So you don't see how insulting this is, particularly coming from a government official posting this sort of stuff. Surely you can be critical of the actions of these Australian soldiers without posting something so graphic and insulting.
So, I mean, are we really going to pearl clutching about a Chinese foreign ministry official tweeting essentially an internet meme, right? And not be outraged about the actual atrocity that happened in Afghanistan, which is two Afghan Special Force soldiers slitting throats of two Afghan children, minor, they're 14-year-old. I think they can qualify as children. And the fact is that those soldiers are not, yes, there was investigation, but, then what we have is just their dismissal. For a very gross violation.
Well, hang on, there isn't a dismissal. There is a high-level investigation going on into these alleged activities. The seriousness of this episode isn't undersold here in Australia. I'd challenge your characterisation of this tweet as just being a meme as well. I mean, this is something very serious, and it's something that's very graphic, being posted by not a nobody in China, but someone who represents the Chinese government.
Scott Morris criticize China all the time. I mean, so does Australian media. I mean, that's why is it suddenly unacceptable for China to criticize Australia? I think it's kind of hypocritical for Australia to say that we can criticize you, on human rights ground, but you cannot criticize us. I mean, it's a two-way street, right? If you can't take it, don't dish it out.
Well, we're not going to agree on the tweet, so let's move on. The Chinese embassy in Australia shared a list of 14 grievances Beijing has against Australia. Now, surely, Carl, the Australian government is within its rights to call out alleged human rights abuses and international law breaches, as well as call for answers into a global pandemic.
Australia is a sovereign country, so it's within its rights to do whatever it wants. But of course, you expect equal and reaction from China. China is also within its rights to call out Australia on whatever human rights violation it commits, including atrocity in Afghanistan. So that's what we're talking about here. And what we really need to talk about is how we got here. How did we get to the tit-for-tat name calling, right? And as I mentioned, I think really Australia is a victim here. Because Australia was caught in between the tension between rising tension between U.S. and China, and Trump, as we well know, Trump administration has been driving a very hardline China policy, and Australia is in a way being forced to take the role as a front soldier for the United States in this war against China. I think that's the whole China Australian intention is about. I mean, Australia could be just like a normal U.S. ally like South Korea, which, while being a U.S. ally, still enjoy a normal relationship with China. There's no witch hunt in South Korea about supposedly Chinese influence in South Korean politics. There's no, what has happened in Australia is U.S. intelligence agencies, through its partners in Australian intelligence community, is conducting a war to cut out, to delegitimize any kind of Chinese social interactions within Australia. That's what we're seeing here. And China and Australia can have disagreement. They can have disagreement with human rights, with foreign policy. But this can happen along with cooperation. But what we're seeing right now, the cooperation part of the relationship is being choked off. And we need to ask ourselves why. Why is Australia doing this while China is Australia's largest export market and largest customer? How does it benefit Australia to have a hostile relation with China?